Warning, this story is intended for sleeping purposes only.
Whatever it is that's keeping you awake tonight, you could be feeling regrets about the past, or you might be feeling anxious about the future. You might just be concerned about what tomorrow morning may bring. Which is very understandable, because life is filled with a great many downs. But it can also have ups, too. Life can swing both ways. Hey. Case in point, Madame Web. Just think that there were human adults who were collectively paid millions of dollars to write, direct, and produce this exceptional failure. Now, I know the studio lost money, but the individuals who made it, they were paid very well. And if they can be paid well for producing such trash, then there's hope for all of us. So just think that tomorrow morning, you might be presented with your very own Madame Web. So in that spirit, let us begin. And we start in 1973, deep in the Amazon rainforest, with Constance Webb. You don't need to remember her name. She's going to die in a minute. But just know that she is a scientist leading an expedition researching spiders that are supposed to have healing properties. And the one thing you got to know about Constance is she's very heavily pregnant, like 8.5 months pregnant. You're probably wondering, are you considered criminally negligent for taking an 8.5-month fetus deep into the Peruvian jungle? I would say it's probably a bit of a morally grey area, but it's not a good look. Admittedly, she's completely unaffected by the giant bowling ball occupying her womb. She moves around the jungle with great ease, and considering the humidity of the rainforest, there's not a single bead of sweat on her. In fact, she looks like a model who might be advertising adventure clothing on Instagram. And what's more, she also needs armed security for this expedition. So this is a very hostile environment for a heavily pregnant woman. And her security guard is protecting her with an umbrella. It's a bit of a red flag that your security guard takes a Mary Poppins-style brolly into the jungle on the expedition. It looks weird, but he's got a nice big red brolly to protect her from the elements. It's not needed for long though, because Constance is about to find one of these spiders that she's been searching so hard for, and she runs back to the rest of her team to celebrate. Unfortunately, her security guard, Ezekiel, or Zeke as I'm going to call him, he has other plans in mind, because he executes the entire team. Yeah, right there on the spot. He doesn't even check if the spider they found is the correct spider. She might have made a mistake, but he kills everyone, including Constance. He briefly wrestles with her to grab the spider, which bites her as they wrestle, and then he shoots her in the torso. I mean, it looks like he shoots her in the baby. He's a cold-hearted bastard. And then he runs away. I assume that wasn't his original plan, just to run away. I would have thought he probably planned to bury the bodies, burn the camp. Might never be found. And I'm sure a lot of people go missing in jungles all the time. But he has to run away because a tribe of Spider-Men show up. Yeah. Think of Peter Parker's traditional Spider-Man. These guys are able to climb things, like in this case trees. Peter Parker climbs buildings with immense sort of strength and speed. And they're wearing sort of native Indian kind of clothing. They look like a tribe that haven't been touched by civilization yet, but they have Spider-Man's powers. So they swoop down and, they let Zeke go. Could have easily captured him for his crimes, but no, they don't mind that he shot a pregnant woman. And they take Constance to a cave where there's a little lagoon, and she gives birth to her child. The child survives, she dies. But the baby does inherit some of the venom from the spider that bit Constance before Zeke escaped with it. And thankfully for us, this tribe, previously untouched by civilization, actually speak perfect English. We're talking like almost without an accent. They have exceptional linguistic skills and speak in English about how there is a prophecy that this child will one day return. And then we cut forward 30 years. So we're sort of left to wonder what might have happened next, because, I mean, the expedition, the researchers, they weren't actually missing when Zeke shot them all. So I presume it would have taken at least a few days for them to be noticed, to be missing. And then another few days for a rescue team to find them. In that time, I'm going to guess the bodies might have started to decompose. And presumably this is the jungle, so I presume they might have even been at least partially eaten by animals in the jungle. So I'm not sure what the tribe did with the baby. Did they leave the jungle to deliver it to, like, Peruvian social services? Or did they wait for the rescue team to arrive and then just leave the baby by the sort of rotting carcass of the mother? And the rescue team are like, oh, baby survived for a week under mysterious circumstances. I don't know, it's not clear, but we know that the baby is passed to somebody who's given to somebody who gives to somebody, and she ends up in New York. And 30 years later is living a relatively normal life as a paramedic. I know what you're all thinking. You're thinking, what superpowers did she get from the spider bite? And the answer is, absolutely none. Zero. Zilch. She has no powers to speak of. Not yet, anyway. And just in case you're wondering whether she's actually going to get Spider-Man's powers, to swing from webs and climb buildings, no, she doesn't get any of those. That's not coming in this story for Cassie Webb. She's called Cassie, so she's got her mother's name, so she must know something about her mother and her trip to the jungle. But she's actually a relatively normal person. She gets on well with her other paramedics, and we see her rescuing people from wreckages and helping firefighters in emergencies. But it's not until during one of these rescues that she actually drowns. She drowns and she's actually resuscitated, but it's this near-death experience that then activates her powers. So now she's able to see vague and sort of disorientating visions of the future. It's not very Spider-Man-esque, really, clairvoyance, but that's what Cassie inherits. Now, Zeke, on the other hand, who presumably he got himself bitten by the spider that he took from the jungle, he's having a much better time of it. For a start, he hasn't aged, so 30 years later he looks the same. And he does have enhanced strength, enhanced speed. He's even got a little Spider-Man outfit that looks like Spider-Man Peter Parker's costume, but in black. And he's got the clairvoyance that Cassie has. So he's well kitted out. He's done well out of the spider bite. And you might be wondering, who the fuck is Zeke? Who does he work for? Where does he get his money and his resources and his knowledge from? How did he know about this expedition and the spiders? And he also seems to have access to some incredible technology that he sort of alludes is from the NSA. And we have all these questions about who he is, and absolutely none of them are answered. He's a mostly white man with a bit of a beard. And he's willing to shoot pregnant women to get this spider. That's all we know about him, really. So he is a bad guy. Now, what do we know about Cassie? Is that she thinks her mum died in childbirth in the jungle, just being very reckless and negligent. Doesn't know that her mum was executed, like the rest of the team. Now, I'd have thought if an American research expedition went into the jungles of Peru and were all murdered, there might be a bit more of a bigger deal. There might be news articles written about it. I I think it might be noted down somewhere, but Cassie doesn't seem aware of it, so we're not sure who told her this story or why she thinks that. Just have to take it as a given. And the other thing we know about her is that she really likes Pepsi. I mean, she loves to drink Pepsi, she loves to hold Pepsi cans very prominently in the frame, and she'll place them on the table in front of her. Make sure everyone can see that, this is her Pepsi. The Pepsi is important to her, and she likes to drink it. This is an important character trait. You might think it's some sort of cynical product placement, but it's not. Because unlike all of the other mysteries we've alluded to, which we will get no answers for any of them, there will be an important callback from Pepsi toward the end of the film. Now Zeke, he keeps having the same vision of the future. He sees 3 young women with Spider-Man-esque powers who work together to kill him. And he has this vision so many times, he decides, okay, this must be true, this is definitely going to happen. I need to find these 3 girls, and I need to kill them first. So he just tries to locate 3 girls who look a bit like the vision he's having, and he sets out to kill them. It makes sense, it's better to be safe than sorry. Now Cassie actually has a vision of the 3 girls as well, only this time they're being killed by Zeke. And so she sets out to intercept them, to prevent Zeke from killing them. So both Zeke and Cassie track these 3 mysterious girls on the same train, on the same carriage, at the same time, and Cassie manages to get there first and convince them to run away with her, while Zeke attacks the train in his Spider-Man outfit. Now, the strange thing about these 3 mysterious girls is that they're all played by actresses who are too old for the part. So they're meant to be around sort of 15 years old, but they're played by actors who are clearly 10 years older. So you got like Sydney Sweeney sort of dressing in a sort of tartan schoolgirl's skirt with sort of big glasses, pretending to be 10 years younger. It's a bit odd, a little bit kinky, I suppose. And they're all meant to have these very distinct characteristics. So if you read the online descriptions of them, one of them is supposed to have this fearless pursuit for sort of justice and equality, while the other one is a rebel who's kind of a formidable kind of fighter and an athlete, and then the other one's meant to be very compassionate, more like the traditional Peter Parker character. But in reality, they're just 3 highly annoying teenage girls. Well, that's the way they're portrayed by the actresses. One of them's a bit shyer than the other 2, but they're all highly irritating and you do not need to distinguish between these 3 girls. They just sort of move as a unit. So Cassie helps them escape this attack from Zeke on this train carriage. And for some reason, the NYPD, they're kind of done dirty here, because they make the assumption that Cassie was actually kidnapping the 3 girls. Now, bearing in mind, they are played by grown-ass women who are the same size as Cassie. There's not a chance in hell that Cassie could physically kidnap these 3 women. But the NYPD make that assumption. So as Cassie escapes, she actually steals a cab in the haste to get away from the evil Spider-Man that is Zeke. And the 3 girls jump in the back, and they hear on the radio of the taxi that the NYPD are looking for Cassie as the kidnapper. Now, what would you do if that were you? So you've been accused of kidnapping 3 teenage girls, and what do you do next? Well, you could just pull over, speak to the closest police officer you find, and have the 3 girls say, actually no, we were attacked by an unknown assailant, and this woman, Cassie, helped us escape. Do you do that? Or do you take the 3 girls to a remote forest at night and leave them there? I know it's a tough one. It's a tough one to think of, but Cassie actually goes for the more daring, abandon the teenage girls in the forest approach. She drives out of the city, dumps them in a wooded area, and then goes off to investigate who the evil Spider-Man is. And so Cassie looks at some old pictures that she's got of her mother, and puts 2 and 2 together somehow. I think using her clairvoyance a little bit, her skills, she manages to work out that Zeke, the Spider-Man, was the guy in the jungle with her mother, likely killed her, and is the one trying to kill the girls. So she makes that connection, just take it as a given, that's what happens. Now the girls are obviously a bit uncomfortable, understandably, being left in the wood. So they decide, okay, we're going to find a 24-hour diner somewhere nearby and go get some food. Makes perfect sense, really. It's probably a bit safer around people than waiting for an evil Spider-Man. So they go into this diner, and unfortunately they are spotted by a customer who knows that these 3 girls have been kidnapped by this 4th woman, and he calls the police. But actually Zeke intercepts the call and impersonates the police, so he's going to respond to this call. Again, some mysteries about Zeke's character, because he knows all of the NYPD's call signs, he knows how to impersonate a police officer, so he's obviously got a lot of experience and skills in this, but we still have no clue who he is or who he works for. Just take it as a given, he knows what to say, and so he goes out and finds the girls in the diner. And he walks in and he grabs one of the girls and he breaks her neck. And he grabs another one, and his hands are sort of able to infect her with poison through his hands as he chokes her. He's got a lot of really cool abilities, to be honest. And so he chokes her to death, and he stabs another one, and it's really good stuff. And then all the girls are dead, and that is the end of the story. At least we kind of wish it would have been. Unfortunately, this is just a vision that Cassie is having. So then Cassie races back, and just as evil Spider-Man Zeke is entering the diner, she sort of crashes into him with her taxi cab, the stolen cab, that she's still driving around. And the 3 girls get in the cab and they escape. What do you do next? You've tried abandoning them in the forest. You still don't trust the NYPD for no reason whatsoever. So you take them to a motel. So at least they're indoors this time. Okay, so it is a step up from the forest. So she checks them all 3 girls into a hotel. And for a brief moment, she thinks, actually, you know what, I should probably take you home to your parents. And the girls are like, we actually all have an individual sob story. So one of them is an illegal immigrant. She doesn't want anything to do with the police or have them near her parents. Another one, her mum's in a psychiatric hospital. The other one, they're sort of abroad somewhere. Basically, the parents either do not care or cannot help the kids. And of course, Cassie cannot take them to the police because there was that strange misunderstanding at the station, so she just keeps them all in the motel room. And then she goes off and has a bit of a psychic conversation with Zeke, where it's confirmed, who he is, that he's the killer from the jungle, that he's going to kill the girls, and that he's coming for them, and basically Cassie needs to not stand in his way. So Cassie's like, oh my god, what do we do, where do we go? I know, I'll teach the girls CPR. Yeah, that's the conclusion she comes to. So the whole story pauses for several minutes while 3 women pretending to be teenagers hang out with another woman pretending to perform CPR, practicing CPR. Yeah, that actually happens. It looks like a colossal waste of valuable time. And then she decides, okay, now I'm going to fuck off to Peru. So I'm going to leave the 3 girls with my colleague Ben. Ben's at home with his very pregnant wife. And she takes them over to Ben. She's like, Ben, can you look after these three girls? Ben takes a look at them, what are essentially 3 sort of supermodels, pretending to be teenagers. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Okay, fine. I'll do this for you. The 3 girls can stay in the house with me. So he takes them in, while Cassie basically gets an Uber to Peru. Based on the speed she gets there in the story, she is in the jungle, in the exact spot where her mum was killed, within moments. And immediately runs into one of the tribe members who was there that day. Her mum died. Who's now in regular clothing, so he's obviously got rid of his sort of tribal garb, and he's dressed in kind of modern clothes now. Still speaks perfect English, and he just explains that actually Constance, when she was pregnant with Cassie, was given a medical diagnosis that Cassie was basically going to be like a cripple or something, highly disabled, brain dead, already dead. I'm not sure. It's not going to be good, basically. When she's born, she's fucked. That's the general message. So Constance did what any rational parent would think when they get a scary diagnosis from the doctor. She flew straight into the Peruvian jungle and started looking for mythical spiders that might provide the healing. It makes perfect sense. You might think that still sounds really dangerous and stupid, but actually, now Cassie hears this, she completely forgives her mother for all of her actions, and we sort of have this psychic reconnection between mother and daughter, and now she's able to actually use her powers more accurately. She understands now which futures are real and which futures are not. And I presume this is the prophecy that the tribe spoke of at the beginning. It's not a very clear setup and payoff. But Cassie's happy, so she Ubers back to New York, where I presume Ben has spent the last week looking after the 3 teenagers, inverted commas. But unfortunately, his wife now goes into labour. And the three girls decide they will travel with them to the hospital, so they set off in Ben's car. And obviously the second they leave the house, Zeke still has access to all of this NSA technology, so he tracks them immediately. And he sort of sets out to kill them in his evil Spider-Man suit. This time he takes a grenade with him, because he's just going to drop a grenade into the car, just going to blow him up. Old school. And he appears near Ben's car, ready to throw the grenade into the car window, when Cassie shows up in her ambulance. I'm not quite sure where she had time to get that, but she went and got an ambulance, and then she sort of crashes her way through the traffic, scares off Zeke momentarily, and the girls get out of Ben's car, get into the ambulance, and then we have a bit of a street chase, where Zeke is chasing after Cassie and the three girls. Now you might be thinking, okay, is this the point where Cassie goes to the police, explains the misunderstanding, and asks for protection? And no, that is not what happens. She makes a far more rational decision, and she takes the girls and hides in a fireworks factory. Yeah, she actually does this. So she takes the three girls and they hide in a fireworks factory, and they take with them some flares from the ambulance. So I'm not sure if New York ambulances usually carry such a high volume of flares with them, but Cassie and the girls make use of them, and they use the flares to set fire to the fireworks factory. So we've got fireworks going off left, right and centre. Some of them are more akin to missiles, really. There's massive explosions going on. And it does sort of work on Zeke. He is a bit disorientated, but it doesn't seem to impact him that much. And so he chases them onto the roof of the fireworks factory that's sort of exploding all around them. And the three girls end up all sort of clinging to various parts of the rooftop, about to fall to their death. And Zeke confronts Cassie in the middle of them. Now really, this guy has Spider-Man abilities, Zeke, so I think it'd probably take him about 5 seconds to just push all three girls off the roof and kill them, but he doesn't do that. No, he stops to have a bit of a conversation, a bit of a chat with Cassie, and then he goads her into not being able to save the girls. But the joke's on him, because now Cassie's true powers emerge, and she is able to split her soul into three or four, if you include her original body. Basically 3 Cassie ghosts emerge, and they sort of float off to the three girls and help them back onto the roof. They're dangling on the edge. Her ghosts help them back up. It's kind of like something from Ghostbusters. Sort of a hologram astro projection thing. I presume it's something to do with alternate futures harnessing them. It's not explained, so just take it as a given. She can splice her soul up into ghosts and they can save people. And so Zeke realizes, okay, she's got something special going on, so I better kill Cassie first, then I can kill these 3 annoying teenagers before they kill me. So he sort of starts walking ominously towards Cassie, who's seen all these futures. Remember, she starts to back up next to a sign, sort of luring Zeke into position, because this sign is about to fall. And wouldn't you know, it's actually a Pepsi sign. You see, that was the setup earlier in the film. Cassie likes Pepsi, and then she lures Zeke under a Pepsi sign that, because of all the exploding fireworks from the fireworks factory, falls on Zeke's head and kills him. Now you might be thinking, oh well, Spider-Man could easily just capture a sign in his hands and just sort of throw it off. And really probably Zeke should have done the same, but that doesn't matter, because Cassie saw this future and she knows the power of Pepsi can kill supervillains. And that's exactly what happens, because Zeke dies. But as the Pepsi sign falls, Cassie is also pushed off into a river again. She drowns again. But the 3 girls jump in and rescue her. And remember, she taught them CPR earlier in the film, in the middle of all those tense chases. And so they know what to do. So they perform the CPR, and Cassie is resuscitated. She is now paralyzed and blind, so it's not a perfect save, but she is alive. And then the 3 teenage girls go to live with her. If you think about it, it's quite a sort of symbolic character arc. See, at the beginning, she was a paramedic who got on well with her colleagues. By the end, she's a blind paraplegic with three girls hanging out in her apartment. It makes perfect sense, although it's still left kind of dangling as to how the 3 girls become Spider Women. We don't really know if Zeke's visions were actually true at all. They might not have been, because The three girls haven't been bitten by any spiders. And there's definitely not going to be a sequel, so I guess we'll never know. That'll be one of the great mysteries of cinema. Because this film was made for $100 million. That was the production budget. Usually you need about another 50% of that on marketing, so maybe another 50 million, so 150 million budget. But the cinemas, well, they'll keep around 40-50% depending on the market of the tickets sold. So they probably needed to make at least sort of $300 million to break even, so it didn't get anywhere near that. This was a colossal financial failure for the studio. But don't forget, the writers and directors, they still got paid. And if they could get paid to produce this story, there really is hope that the rest of us might find jobs where we get paid millions of dollars to produce something as equally terrible. And on that inspirational note, I wish you all a good night's sleep.